So after the $250 that I earned from installing that doggy door, then the $160 for the pool slide that I found sitting next to a dumpster, then the $50 for the drainage tube that was just sitting in my yard, I ended up having a $460 day and was also able to have some small town fun just running around a little town and checking out the little nooks and crannies that it had.
I feel like I could easily make $50 on this.
And simply because I make it a point to keep an eye out for stuff that's been put out on the curb, I have countless stories like this of items I have sold for really good money just from picking things up off the side of the road, just like this.
Is it just me? Or am I the only person in here that realizes it is way too hot to be wearing a turtleneck?
Well, we got our drink, we lived a little, we worked a little, we played a little, and I think we can call this a great day. So this is going to be a really fun day because it's going to be so laid back and simple. And the other reason that this is going to be a great day is because I waited for the right customer. And this is something we talk about in the Cash Cow Business Bootcamp. But a couple days ago, just within about 15 minutes, I had 3 different people contacting me. One person wanted to ask if I would help assemble a TV stand piece of furniture. And my minimum service call to come do any task, and that's another thing that we teach in the Cash Cow Business Bootcamp, and you're going to see why that matters. My minimum charge is $150. So I simply let that person know, and they responded with, wow, I didn't think it was going to be that much. Yeah, I'll have to do this myself. And so if I had been less experienced, then I might have been willing to keep trying to drive my cost down until it was something that they were happy with. But I would have ended up in a situation where I really wasn't making good money for my time. Now, if I was just starting out, then that's a different story. You want to try to do everything you can to get yourself established. But at this point, I am established, and so I have options, and so that makes a difference. Not long after that, I got another text message that came in. Someone had a partially disassembled trampoline in their front yard, and they wanted to know if I would just come pick it up and haul it away. The top part of the trampoline with all the springs and the actual trampoline was all still connected, so that would all have to be disassembled or cut apart or whatnot to then put in the truck and get rid of it. And I could have also sold it. It might have been in fine condition, and I could have sold it as well. But I didn't know that, right? All I know at this point is it's a junk removal. They want it gone. And so once again, I let them know, sure, yeah, I have a minimum service call charge of $150, and I could actually come do this job right now if you wanted me to. And then they said, oh, I'll have to check with my wife. So that's code for they didn't want to pay that much for it, which is fine. So far, it looks like I've missed out on money, right? But then, not long after that, I got a text message from someone that wanted me to put a doggy door in. They had an old doggy door in the house. They wanted to buy a new one and put it in. And also the current one was kind of loose. And so they needed some framing to be put in to where the new one would actually be locked in into something structurally sound so that it wouldn't keep getting loose and coming apart like the old one was. And so I knew that was also going to involve me needing to bring some 2x4s. I'm going to have to get behind the wall. There's a little more to do there. I'm going to have to bring some tools. And so because I'm more experienced, I know that if I'm out doing these jobs, I've got to be able to make money, right? That has to be the result of the job. I have to be able to pay some bills by having done whatever task it was. And so I let them know it was going to be $225, and they didn't skip a beat at all. They said, okay, yeah, sure, that sounds good. And it was no problem for them. So the point that I'm making with that is once you get more established and get a steady base of people calling you, then you have options at that point. And you don't have to take on jobs where you're not really going to be making good money for your time. You really can limit the work that you do to the jobs where you're going to make good money for your time. And there are plenty of customers out there that understand the general going rates of what a business has to charge to come out and complete a service and make it worth it. And I know that I am right in the average in there of what is going to be considered an acceptable price. It's not going to be the cheapest, not going to be the most expensive, but it's going to be an acceptable price that someone would be willing to pay to complete this task. And then at the end, they also let me know that they were in a town a little bit further away, and I let them know, sure, yeah, no problem, I might have to charge just a small trip charge extra, so I might charge an extra $20 for driving out the extra distance. And once again, they're perfectly fine with that. This goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of the video about working with the right customer and waiting for the right customer. So because I waited for the right customer, that means I am going out and making a good amount of money for my time rather than having to do price drops and have a race to the bottom of an amount of money that I'm going to be charging, to where it's just really not going to be worth the effort. And it's just going to be frustrating, and you're not going to enjoy what you do. It's going to be a struggle, and it's going to become a question of, is having my own business really even that much better than just going and getting a job, right? If I'm removing all the benefits and there's no benefits to being a business owner, and I'm taking on all this responsibility, but I'm still getting paid an amount of money as if I just went out and delivered DoorDash for the afternoon, right? Then what's the point? These are some different things you learn along the way as you offer your own service. So it's a beautiful day. I'm in a great mood because I'm going out to work for the right customer. So let's go have some fun and install a doggy door. All right, here we go. So I'm just wrapping up the job here, and I just asked them, do you want this old dog door? I'd be willing to take it if you don't need it or want it. And they're like, we don't want it. And this is something that if I clean this up, I could resell this. I learned that, believe it or not, this thing was $150. So they even had some of the hardware left over as well. And so I said, if you don't want to use that, I'll take it. So clean this up a little bit. Someone that doesn't want to spend $150, I feel like I could easily make $50 on this. So that's what we're going to do. So just got done with the job, and in case you were wondering, oh man, they really must have thought that was really expensive, the $225. So I charged the $225. I also charged a trip charge of $20 because this is in another city. It's about 30 minutes away. That was $245. And then she gave me a $10 tip on top of that just because she appreciated and enjoyed having the service done. And so I came to Taco Bell and I got some bean burritos that I'm going to eat with my chicken here. Oh yeah. And it just goes to show you back to the point of the right customer. There are just completely different people on completely different scales of expectations. And not only was she completely fine with the charge, but she was awesome to work for. She was so laid back and chill, so easy to be around, not high strung, not high maintenance, and just appreciated it, which feels great for you as the person providing the service. So I think we've worked hard enough today. We're in another town. Let's go do some sightseeing. So before I leave town, I thought I should go really wild, go into this casino, and get a decaf coffee. So So unfortunately, I got here and the coffee shop is closed, but the casino has free soda drinks. So I think you're thinking what I'm thinking. Let's go with the hard rock cup instead. Well, we got our drink, we lived a little, we worked a little, we played a little, and I think we can call this a great day.
So the reason the YouTube channel is called Cash Cow Artist is because my journey always began as a creative person. And the Cash Cow Artist element is simply my way of figuring out how do I make money that gives me the most amount of money for my time and the most amount of free time left in the day, so that I actually have the money and time to do the hobbies and interests that I want to be able to do. And this started as early as being a little kid. My parents were music teachers. My dad worked at a college. My mom was a piano teacher. So we always had music playing around the house. And one particular morning, I was probably like 9 or 10 years old. And my dad had this a cappella group. It was during Christmas time. It was in the living room. He was playing this on his stereo. And he did have the sweet setup stereo with all the speakers and all the doodads and everything. So this is playing in the living room. And I grabbed some stick that was nearby and I just started lip syncing to this song. And I was being super animated. And my parents found it funny enough that they were like, you need to perform this in the church Christmas program. And this was during a time where church Christmas programs were literally their own entity altogether. It was a whole thing. It's kind of hard to believe people even spending time the same way that they would participate in these kinds of programs now. But this would be treated as a big deal among families that would put together songs that they would sing or performances or other things that they would do, and then they would perform in these church programs. And so me lip syncing to this song in the way that I was doing it was completely out of left field for something like this. And so the day comes, I'm like 9 or 10 years old. I'm wearing this Christmas cartoon sweatshirt. It's my turn to perform. I'm walking up to this stage. It's this huge packed audience who is having no idea what I'm about to come do. And then I proceed to lip sync to this song. And for whatever reason, maybe it was just because it was such a departure from all the other like kind of more straight-laced singing that was going on. I don't know what it was, but it really had an impact on the audience. They really liked it. And for really the rest of my life at that church, it was always something that came up as I continued to get older and older. Hey, remember the time when you lip sync to that song? Oh man, that was great. You know? And as this 9 or 10-year-old kid, I still remember being so nervous, like through that whole performance. It was just so random, right? It was just like, what is happening here? But for whatever reason, it went over really well. And that was probably one of my earliest experiences performing and being a creative person. And I went on to do many other types of creative performances later in my life. And as the years have gone on, for me, it's just been the act of being engaged in creative things in general. That's just always been the attraction for me. It hasn't always been one particular thing. And the creative thing that I've been doing the most these days has been creating these shirts. This is an activewear shirt line I've created called Deep Tropic. And this is one of the recent designs. I had a black one that I recently made, and this is a white one with a little bit different colors. And one of the reasons this has probably grabbed my attention during this phase of my life is because these are now the shirts I'm wearing every single day, is this type of shirt. It's an activewear polyester shirt, quick dry, super durable, super flexible, doesn't flake, doesn't fade. It's cool to wear in the summer. It's warm to wear in the winter. It's just like the most diverse shirt I've ever run across. And so what I'm doing now in my living room is preparing this same shirt for a photo shoot to load it up on the website. And so let me take you over to this corner where I'm getting ready to steam one of these same shirts, getting it ready to photograph. So here I've got the shirt set up. This is the shirt that's going to be photographed. And I've also got this steamer that I purchased at Harbor Freight. And this is just going to help get the wrinkles out. So it's just going to look its best once it's time to photograph it. So you basically fill this up with water and it'll automatically get to the heating point. And this is very hot, so you wouldn't want to put your hand in front of it. And then you literally just throw the steam on it. You've got your little trigger here, and this is going to get these wrinkles out and just really make it look its best. I can already see it making a big difference in this area right there. And it really is just as simple as that. This is a tool that you could use for other things, like if you're trying to detail your car or steam clean something else. There's obviously all different kinds of ways you could use this. But for me, I just have this just for the purpose of getting these shirts ready to photograph and then list on the site. So here I am with the mannequin that I put the shirt on, and I take the photos here in this room. I have some better lighting in here. And like I said, this is something I'm always working on, where I'm always creating a new shirt. And I wanted to do something fun with this shirt here on the channel. One thing you might notice when you watch my videos is I have a lot of these little just short, fun, creative, random video clips that I'll pop in here and there throughout the videos. And I thought that would be a fun way to give away a free shirt. So the way it'll work is, if you want to get this shirt for free, in the comments, write some creative way that you would make a video of you wearing the shirt. So this could be anything. This is just anything goes, using your creativity. This could be you doing a skateboard trick. This could be you doing something with basketball. This could be some super random skit, idea, thing you want to do with your friends. It could be funny. And the way this would work is, write it in the comments what your idea is, as far as what video you would make wearing the shirt and what you would do. And if your idea gets picked, then I will ship this to you for free. So write your creative, crazy ideas in the comments. And I just think this would be a lot of fun to do this. So let's see what you come up with. And then one person's going to get picked, and I'll send this shirt to you for free. And we'll post your video as a YouTube short right here on the Cash Cow Artist YouTube channel. And if you want to see all the shirts that are currently available, you can check them out at deeptropic.com.
How come they don't play What's Up by Four Non-Blondes anymore? They rarely ever play it. Deep Tropic Threads. Collect them all.
So when I got home, I got the doggy door ready to list on Facebook. I just took the hose and sprayed that off. There was some old dog hair on it. Obviously, just it being stuck in the wall, it just had some dust and some general grime to it. I didn't do anything crazy detailed about it, just getting it decent enough. That's something I've really learned in selling the items on Facebook Marketplace. Is in the past, I spent way too much time doing like detailed cleanup, and I basically learned I didn't have to do that. As long as I just got it decent enough, then people were actually expecting it to have some dust on it and not be in the most perfect condition ever. So for example, if I was listing some shelves and they had general dust on them, I wouldn't do anything to that at all. I would just list it as is. But since this did have kind of a gross element to it with the dog hair and all that, I decided to go ahead and at least spray that off. And then I had a couple people contact me wanting to pick up some items to purchase that I had listed on Facebook Marketplace. And one of them was an above ground swimming pool ladder that I literally found sitting next to a dumpster on a previous job. I had gone to this job, which was at an apartment complex. And after finishing that job, I was walking to my truck and I just noticed this ladder sitting by the dumpster, went over to check it out, was able to see that it was a swimming pool ladder. At that point, this was just starting to get into the summer time, and I had sold swimming pool ladders before, and I knew that they sold well. So there was no question that I was going to pick this up and sell it on Facebook Marketplace. One tip I can share here that I've learned from selling items is you never really know what the true resale value of these items are. I was able to look up new price ranges that were anywhere from $250 to $500 for this ladder. So for example, I started this out at $125 and I immediately noticed people were jumping on it. And anytime people are immediately saying, I want to come buy this, I want to come buy this, I know I've got this thing priced too low. So I kind of use that as a measurement. If I'm experiencing that, I just raise the price on the item to what I think it will sell for. So I took that up to closer to $200. I tried $195, and then I continued to bring it down until I got to $160. I listed it for $159, and that seemed to be the price range that was acceptable to people that would still get the interest. And a guy called on it. He didn't question the price at all. He wanted to come get it. It was just a matter of lining it up with his schedule, and he happily paid $160 for that. I gave him the dollar change and this was going to save him money compared to buying new, and he was totally happy to purchase it for $160. So this was literally something sitting just by a dumpster, and it was just a matter of picking it up and putting it in my truck. The next item that someone contacting me wanting to come pick up was this black drainage tube that I had had sitting in my yard maybe for 3 or 4 years. This was something that was part of a junk removal on another job where I was paid to remove these items off the property. And we had an area in our yard where I thought I might be able to use this. And so it was the typical story of, oh, I could use that one day. And then it just sits around for forever. And it did. It just sat in a little corner of my yard for probably 3 years. And then one day I was at Lowe's and I was in the lawn and garden section, and I walked by this exact same hose, and a similar length that I saw was selling for like $80. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize this thing was worth that much. So I decided I'm going to sell that, because I never did end up using it for what I thought I was going to use it for. And I put $50 on this and immediately had people interested. A guy was doing a project that he actually was going to be using it for, and he came right away, didn't question the price at all, was just making sure that it didn't have holes in it, and was a super nice guy and paid $50. Now, also, something else that happened was on my way home, I found a cast iron sink that had a bunch of water supply hoses in it, and I had picked that up and put it in my truck, and it was pretty heavy. So I asked that guy that purchased the hose, hey, would you mind just helping me lift this off my truck onto my dolly? Which he was really nice, and he helped me do it. And so it was a very organic ecosystem type moment where I'm selling one item and then I'm immediately then able to bring in another item that the ecosystem is providing me. And this was just something I was going to set outside in my backyard until it sold.
So I would imagine that there are enough water lines here that they could possibly be worth enough to sell just by themselves. And so I'm just going to separate these into a bucket here, and then I'll just end up listing the sink by itself, and then I'll list these water lines as a separate item, and we'll just let this thing sit out here until it sells.
Now, the funny thing about this sink is I almost didn't pick this up because it was really heavy, and I thought, how much is this thing even really going to be worth? And am I just putting some boat anchor in my backyard that's never going to sell, right? Well, I had really never checked into iron cast sinks, and when I looked up a similar size of this same type of iron cast sink that you would buy new, it was around $750. I totally did not expect that. So as of the recording of this video, I have started that sink at $395. And I don't know what it's going to sell for. I think it will definitely sell for at least $100, but it could possibly sell for $200 or $300 and maybe even the $400. And the beautiful thing about an item like this, it's a sink. It's designed to get wet. So it literally can just sit out there in the yard until it sells for whatever it ends up selling for. And simply because I make it a point to keep an eye out for stuff that's been put out on the curb, I have countless stories like this of items I have sold for really good money just from picking things up off the side of the road, just like this.
Is it just me? Or am I the only person in here that realizes it is way too hot to be wearing a turtleneck?
Alan, we're a turtleneck club and uncompromised 365 days out of the year.
So after the $250 that I earned from installing that doggy door, then the $160 for the pool slide that I found sitting next to a dumpster, then the $50 for the drainage tube that was just sitting in my yard, I ended up having a $460 day and was also able to have some small town fun just running around a little town and checking out the little nooks and crannies that it had. And I can definitely tell you there have been times in my past where I've made way, way less money for the day and had a much, much more miserable work day than that. So this is why I love living this life. So that wraps up today, and if you're interested in living this same type of lifestyle, I'll put a link below to a free series I created that shows how to offer a high-income service business in a very chill and laid-back way. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me today, and if you'd like to see how I'm able to get these Facebook Marketplace sales on an ongoing basis, make sure to subscribe to see the next video where I share my simple strategy of simply listing 3 items each day. And while I was recording the video, I actually had someone contact me and come purchase something which validated the exact points that I was making, and it brought it all full circle. If you'd like to see how it all played out, you can click right here to watch that video next.